Hey, I want to give a shout out to my man Hasan Piker. Uh, he's uh, he's a very thoughtful young man, and what he tackles, the issues that he's tackling, are absolutely right. And I was just watching. I just actually subscribed to his channel. Literally, just did. I was just watching a little bit of one of his newest videos, Galaxy Conservative Destroyed, or something like that. But there was this young caller, and he's talking about the left and how the left has destroyed harmony, and the left is responsible for everything that's wrong. And and Hassan's trying to tackle this young man. And to be honest, I don't think that Hassan during this interview, and I know Hassan is intelligent enough because I've seen him. I've seen enough videos of him on the TYT network to know that he's has the intelligence to tackle the issue. And the young man was saying, that he was quoting a study about two-parent family and so on and so forth, and how they are how they're doing well and so on and so forth, and that the left was responsible for destroying that two-parent paradigm. And Hassan made the point of the study was actually quoting about how two-parent families have more economic stability and so on and so forth. But that really didn't cover the issues and the propaganda that the conservatives, well, not conservatives, as I like to call them, criminals of the Republican Party who call themselves conservatives, and the Democrats who call themselves Democrats, like Nancy Pelosi, like that idiot from Virginia. I can't think of his name, and these others, quote unquote, prominent leadership in the Democratic Party. And they're the ones backing up the conservatives and floating this through media, and the media is backing up this crap. Even the so-called lefty media, which is not left at all, as they are a bunch of brain-dead sycophants and criminal minions. Because here's the facts. The facts are that it was policy initiated and done by these criminals, which broke up the system, so that when a person is working 40 hours and getting paid a livable wage on those 40 hours a week, there was the ability for the family to have a living wage standard. So all these things, which were done by using such things like the war on drugs, the three strikes you're out, as well as a few others which are escaping me at this time, but those sort of things, and the right to work and all those sort of things, is what broke down the system, which broke down the potential for people to get into the middle class or be a blue-collar working class family. So it was the Democrats and the Republicans, the criminals, who allowed all of the stuff. And this is stuff going back to the Jim Crow eras, the McCarthyism, and all that other stuff. So this all, excuse me, all contributed to the social and economic breakdown, because they push policies. First, they hype it up in the media with nonsense crap. They get the public all hyped up about things that don't exist, that aren't happening. And one of those is deficits. They talk about deficits and so on and so forth, and so they start cutting welfare. They start cutting other social programs. They start cutting funding to public schools. They start cutting away at a 40-hour week benefits that you should be receiving through healthcare, through health insurance, and all the other stuff that the company should be giving. They destroy the foundation of the unions, and the unions are corrupted, and they start doing things against the people who are paying the unions. So all of this is what contributed to the destruction and the collapse of what we know today. And so it isn't the left, it's the criminals on top. It's the criminals in corporations, those criminal oligarchy that own the money, own the resources, own the lands, own the businesses, those and the institutions that they make to give out fake studies and fake opinions to drive a narrative. And that is what has cost Americans their prosperity, their aspirations. That is what it's caused. So, I'm not always the most articulate or eloquent of people. And I don't always remember the facts and the studies. And I may generalize because I can't bring it up. But those are what is taking place. So stop listening to the criminals in the media. Stop listening to the criminals of the oligarchy. Stop listening to the studies funded by the oligarchy and the politicians and the corporations that come through places like Harvard, MIT, Stanford, Princeton, Oxford. Stop. Research it yourself. And there are ways to do that. Because one thing government is infamous for, even though they may lie through their teeth, even though they may go out and scream to the world through media, to the criminal media, all the bullshit, they, however, do actually keep pretty damn good records. And you can find out about it easily enough. It's not that difficult. So, when I talk about institutes, I'm talking about stuff like ALEC. I'm talking about the other institutions that are funded. I can't think of them. I can't think of them right off the top of my head. But there's a lot of crap that's pushing wrongly and criminally to influence the thinking. And this young man, whom Hasan was talking to, he's a victim, just like so many Americans. I was a victim. I was a victim. You know why I was a victim? Growing up in Canton, Massachusetts, in a predominantly suburban white town, and hearing through the media this constant narrative, as well as the quote-unquote entertainment, which is actually propaganda, about the black gangs, the Bloods and the Crips, and about how they portrayed black people, how they portrayed Hispanics, how they portrayed Asians, how they portrayed Muslims, how they portrayed everybody. And the only movie that actually portrayed it right was Die Hard. Because it was, in Die Hard, it was white people who were the terrorists. Now, I'm not saying that all white people are racist, but what I'm saying is those on top, those with the fundamental criminality built into them because of the actions they've done generation after generation after generation, because many of them come from generational wealth. And they have infected and infused this illness, this self-destructive illness. And so the vast majority of the white population who follow this criminal ideology, this was fostered and pushed by the criminals. Al Capone and all those guys were bit players, bit criminals compared to the politicians and the corporations and the oligarchy. Because the political criminals which they hire, because these people have caused more harm, more destruction, more devastation. They have contributed to mass murder, mass rape, mass infusion of insanity, mass trauma than any other criminal that we hear about. Whether they are the Hells Angels, skinheads, or a Colombian drug lord, these criminals are the worst of the worst, because they are the ones who started the illegal drugs and pushing it. It is they who started mass embezzlement. It is they who set the policy. So it's not the two-bit criminals who have a small little army of bully boys. No. The biggest criminals are the ones who have armies, who have national armies, who have police, who have legitimacy. Those are your criminals. Those are the ones who have control over the media and give you propaganda and the fake news. And fake news isn't fake news because they tell fake stories. No, it's fake news because they spin. It's because they misdirect. It's because they do whataboutism. It's because they don't report on actual things that impact us all collectively. So understand, there is but one enemy. And that one enemy are the legitimate criminals on top. The supposed legitimate politicians, the legitimate supposed police, the legitimate supposed FBI, the legitimate supposed Homeland Security, the legitimate supposed Pentagon, NSA, the CDC, the FBI, the EPA, all the grunts and all those, Most of them can do nothing. But the ones placed on high, the ones that are made to be managers, those are the henchmen who follow the criminals from above, the legitimate criminals. So legitimacy, the quote-unquote legitimacy of these criminals are the ones responsible for everything, every nonsense that we come to believe, every negative impact we face. It is them. It's your Fox News, it's your MSNBC, it's your CNNs, your ABC, CBS's, the NBC. It's all of them. And in some small ways, some of the independent progressives, negligently keep perpetuating with the echo chamber. If everybody's talking about it and everybody says so, it must be right. If they're talking nonsense, the thought is, we got to fight it because we got to point out that wrong. But that's the echo chamber. That's part of the problem. Democracy Now! Has done this. It was an interesting thing that Jimmy Dore did. He got something. He got something sent to him, and it was a mashup for something called Russiagate mashup. It was done by Super Deluxe Cuts, and it was really incredible because they show you a timeline month by month, all the way up until current, of the whole Russiagate thing, and all the constant there's this breaking news around Russiagate, and how it's the end of Donald Trump, and it's absolutely amazing because TYT has done this, Democracy Now! Has done this, and TYT and Democracy Now! I watched them. I watched them heavily. But I'm aware of this Russiagate thing. I know it's false. I don't follow the narrative. And I see it as a narrative. An echo chamber narrative. And I'm aware of it. See, we have to be self-aware. We can't just allow the echo chamber. If everybody says it's right, doesn't make it right. So, anyways, those are my thoughts. And Hasan, I like what you're doing. Keep doing it.